Welcome back on the AM show. Thank you for staying. Now, even as we talk about that sad incident, we're going to be focusing now on waste management on the back of the flooding we've seen and how it has exposed us when it comes to our drainage systems. It has washed so many things onto our streets, markets, and all of that. How are we dealing with that? And how are we dealing with the health issues related to that? Well, joining us this morning, you would usually see her on the Joy Clean Ghana campaign, but this morning she's taken the time to join us in the studio. She is Public Health Director with the AMA. Florence Kuchi is our guest. A very good morning to you, Florence.
Good morning, sir.
It's a real pleasure having you. I was just, going on and on about seeing you here physically.
Yeah, it's nice meeting you this morning too.
Great. Let me just, take your thoughts on the back of what we just saw, that accident there. And it is a stretch I use practically every day. When these happen, they create a whole mess, a lot of traffic and all that. As someone with the AMA, what is your take on such developments?
I'll talk about the health impact because I'm not an expert
right.
in road management.
Yes, definitely not.
I'm going to talk about the health impact of what we are just seeing there. We can all see that the tomatoes there are being disposed or poured on the road. Some are broken or smashed, but this woman will collect all these tomatoes and it will end up in the market. It will end up in someone's pot and to be displayed by the roadside, and somebody will go and buy and eat. And at the end, there will be food poison, and you will not even be able to trace where this thing is coming from. And that is where we find ourselves.
So you're saying just being exposed like this can lead to food poisoning? Because guess what? While I was coming here this morning, I saw exactly that. In fact, part of why the stretch was blocked was that some people were trying to gather the tomatoes back into the crates and all of that.
Why am I saying that? When it rains and there's flooding, there are a lot of microorganisms, viruses, bacteria, and parasites on the environment. They can stay there for at least more than 10 days if not disinfected. But these tomatoes has been poured there and it is going to mix with these bacteria and then other parasites. And when bacteria react on tomatoes, it starts to get rotten. When it starts rotting, this woman will put down and say, it's apotoye. Then people who are selling kinky, rice and other things, that because it's cheap, that is what they're going for. And definitely is going to end up in a food vendor's pot. And an innocent person is going to patronize it. So I'll plead with my colleague officers at that side who is in charge there to try as much as possible to get there and see what is happening so that we can at least break the chain of any transmission of any disease that could lead to this issue that has just taken place at that place.
And so just to expand briefly on this, when such things happen, what does the AMA do? Because that means you also have a role then. Apart from the traffic wardens and the MTTD who will be there to do what you've seen them doing, what does the AMA do when these things happen, especially when they are, conveying food items?
Yes, so these days, just recently, there's this food safety guideline that was launched by the Ministry of Local Government, where the environmental health officers belongs to. Though we don't know whether we are there or we are not there because we don't even have a head at the local government ministry.
Wait. When you say you don't know whether you are there or you are not there?
Yes, because we don't have a national head. We should have a national head at the ministry. Then you know where you belong to. But we do not have a national head at the local government ministry. So when they are calling national directors of various agencies or departments, we will not be found there. We don't know why it is happening so, because we used to have a directorate at the local government ministry.
When was the last time you had a director?
2017, when they created the Ministry of Sanitation. So we thought we were going to be migrated onto that sanitation, Ministry of Sanitation, only to realize that it is a policy-making ministry for managing of waste management solely. But the health promotion and the environmental health aspect is still left there. When you go to the Ministry of Sanitation, we have our heads all moved to that place, but there's nobody. There's no human resource there that will work with information relating to them. But when you come to the Ministry of Local Government, where we are, where we are supposed to have our national director with the Environmental Health Directorate. There is no directorate at the Ministry of Local Government. And mostly, anytime there's an issue concerning environmental health issues, they relate it to Ministry of Local Government. But there's nobody to respond to it. So it will go and lie there and then it will go on. So we launched this food safety guideline about 2 years ago. Let me put it in that way. And I'm sure if we had a national director at the Ministry of Local Government, it would have been on the MMDS would have started using it by now, because in that food safety guideline, we said when food is even going to be transported, even at the various police checkpoint, there should be an environmental health officer assigned at that place to see how the people who are transporting these food products are handled. Because for food to be safe, it is from the farm through to the fork. That is, you must follow all the real requirements from on the food value chain you can get to get safety food. But if the chain is broken along the line, it can lead to contamination that can lead to disease outbreak, just like what we are seeing at Agbogbloshie. Sometimes when they are even transporting these food products and they are bringing it from the interland, people sleep on them. How do they urinate?
Yeah.
A lot of issues happen along the line. But if the officers are placed at all the vantage point and check is being taken, I'm sure at least 88% of some of the communicable diseases that we are likely to contract through consuming of some of these food products maybe.
And it's a crucial point you mentioned, because guess what? If someone had typhoid, for example, where the person can easily, by touching, handling, and all of that, and you make a fair point. We don't know how these people attend to nature's call, how they pass water and all of that. So they may be forced to do some of these things because the cars are in motion and they may be afraid. So they may do all of these things in an environment where we have foodstuffs.
Sure.
And that could be dangerous to all of us. But just to go back, so how has this hampered your work? I know that is not the substantial or the substantive conversation, but this is obviously hampering your work. What toll has it taken on your work?
It is really hampering our work in a very, very hard manner, because, you know, when you are working, you need somebody at the top to monitor, to evaluate the work that the people are doing down there. And coming to talk about the local government and decentralization ministry, it is a bottom-up approach. Report must come from the MMDAs through to the region, then to the national, for the national head to collate it and then come out with issues that are pertaining to health issues on the to people. Then this will be channeled to the minister directly. But here is the case: you write a report from the MMDAs, it gets to the region, and then it ends there. We don't have anybody at the local government service sector, neither do we have somebody at the local government. And it is really hampering our work. But everybody is doing what they like, because there's nobody to come and monitor you, to sanction you, give you disciplinary actions on things that you are doing. So we are still playing, we are praying and then asking the minister. We know he's a very listening father. He should try as much as possible.
So local government?
Yes, please.
Right.
So even if the directorate will not be created, they should try at least and create a desk for the Environmental Health Directorate at the local government ministry that can champion national issues pertaining to environmental health.
So you've been asking for this since 2017?
We've been asking for this for a long time, since 2017, that we don't have a directorate.
So 5 years you've been asking for this, and it's hampering your work?
Yes, because now we are talking about One Health concept. What is One Health concept? One Health concept is about human health, animal health, and environmental health. That is the triangle that champions the health of everybody. And where does we find these all disease organisms or pathogens? They are all in the environment. So if the environment is being taken care of properly, communicable diseases going to the health facility will reduce, and to be only non-communicable disease. Pressure on doctors and the facilities will reduce. Zoonotic diseases that animal will take from the environment and transfer it to human beings, like this monkeypox, Lassa fever that has come, is going to also be reduced. So environmental health is a very, very, very key issue that need to be looked upon by the policymakers.
Well, Over to you, Mr. Local Government Minister. That's a plea from Florence Kuchi, Public Health Director of the AMA. 5 years on, they need a desk at least, so they can have leadership at that point, so you can also be able to do your work well. But let's zero in on the major issue that we are here to discuss: flooding and the sanitation related issues as far as our markets and other places are concerned. But in terms of the Joy Clean Ghana campaign, we've seen a lot,
Sure.
a whole lot,
Sure.
some very ugly scenes. But has the flooding made this even worse? Just share with us from that end as we start.
Yeah, the flooding had made it even worse. And if I'm not talking so much, I think this year, if we don't take care, we are likely to experience cholera outbreak.
Cholera outbreak?
If we don't take care.
Because over the years, we've managed it.
Yes,
it's not been
the
too
way
bad.
and manner things are going, the way and manner the flood is coming out. So always I say sanitation is everyone's business. It's not one person's business. It's not the business of the environmental officer. We are just there to guide how to handle or manage sanitation. The rest is left for the public to do it. Because we cannot be at one place at the same time. We've been doing Joy Clean Ghana campaign in Accra for about 3 years now.
Right.
When you go outside Accra, a lot of people are really appreciating what we are doing. And they wish Joy Clean will be everywhere at all time, but we cannot be everywhere at all time. That is why everybody must play their part. Sanitation is everyday's business. It's a religion, because when you want to define sanitation into detail, they say sanitation is a way of life, and religion is a way of life. Sanitation is a way of life that is practiced in a clean home, clean business, clean everywhere. And I'm just cutting it short. I'm not going according to the World Health Organization definition. And being a way of life, it must come out from us, within us.
They say cleanliness is next to
Sure,
godliness.
cleanliness is next to godliness. So if you sit in your house and you expect me to come and tell you to clean, it means you don't even know why you are on earth. That is it. So you go out, you take action against people, they go back and do the same. And we are just doing merry-go-round on sanitation. When it starts raining, that is where people will start to dispose of their waste through the drain. In Accra Metropolitan Assembly alone, we generate 2,500 metric tons of waste per day. Daily. And out of these 2,500 metric tons that we generate, about 2,200 is being collected to the waste disposal side. The rest we see there is just the 300 metric tons, about 12% that we see out there. And that is what is causing the problem. One reason why we even see the 300 metric tons still there is because distance, proximity of the final disposal site is another thing. So AMA, we are trying as much as possible to come out with community or household source segregation. When you segregate your waste, it reduces the volume of waste that is being generated.
I know that's something that not too many people are very familiar with, segregating plastics and all that.
So we are still doing the sensitization, promoting, creating the awareness in the community. We even started some piloting at some street because we are coming out with this area we are going to name free zero waste street that you can go through from that lane to a lane and you wouldn't see any waste anywhere. So we've started with the piloting and we will roll it out very soon.
Oh, so you'll go around and particular streets that you're able to get to adhere strictly to it. You will name them zero waste streets.
Yes.
Have you got any yet?
Yeah, we have selected some streets. We are on the pilot and the Palace Street around Kaneshi. North Kaneshi area is one of the streets that we have identified, and we are working very tightly with the landlord associations, and they are very happy. They are buying into it. So when we are
interesting that you've got a place in Kaneshi, because I know that is one of the flood-prone areas.
So when we are able to come out with that and then it is done, then we'll replicate it in other areas. And I think through that it is going to help us in the sanitation aspect. When we are able to do that, For the drains, the government is also trying as much as possible to construct as many drains that they can. If they are supposed to expand, they will expand. That is why they have come out with this Garrett project. I know you've heard of the Garrett project. Yes, though they are into constructing drains, tunnels, to ensure that we can have easy flow of runoff water. They are even likely to build some retention ponds somewhere maybe around the hilly side. When it rains, it's not only water from Accra that's flooding the area, but water that is coming from the Equiapin Ridge down is also another point. Formerly, when the town and country planning were used to demarcate or plan the country, there are areas we call the wetland areas. These wetland areas were not just left there for being their sake, no, but they were there to receive all runoff water. So that when the runoff water gets there, it will stay there for some time there to percolate through the environment as time goes on. But most of these wetlands has been patronized and are now becoming build-up areas. So when it rains, the water has nowhere to pass than to come to a place. And we know that flooding is an effect of climate change. Yes, it's an effect of climate change, and we are all in climate change. So how do we manage this effect of climate change? That is where we are now.
That is where we are now. And it's interesting because I just did the quick calculation of the 2,500 metric tons that we produce per day. That sums up to almost 1 million metric tons for Accra just in a year, 915,000. And that gets me thinking. So about 12 to 15%, well, is left over. That is what we are not able to get to the right places to, whether incinerate or whatever. But that takes me back to the retention ponds you spoke of, because I had an interaction recently with Engineer Mahama. And he was talking a lot about this, that look, first of all, you know that per the latest releases we got, the Auditor General's report and all of that, out of the 18 targeted retention ponds, none has been constructed. That's the first point. Then you have to deal with the fact that desilting and others is not up to the level that, look at the Odo, for example, and the desilting, a lot of it is taken over by sand. So a little water, and then you have flooding. How have you dealt with the situation on the back of all these challenges? Because it appears your work has been made very difficult.
So we are also still talking with engineers that are building drains. That as soon as the drain is done building, we can plant green grasses like the carpet grass along the drains. So that when it is raining and the silt is coming, the grass will trap the sun. The sun will not find its way into the drain. Then we can have the runoff water. But if we build it and leave it like that, as soon as there is heavy downpour, all the silt, the sun will go through the drain and then it will be silted. We desilted.
But let me just ask you, the grass would also require sand. Will that also not contribute to?
Yes, but you know when the grass grow, they trap the sun. Mostly when you want to check erosion, you grow grass to check the erosion. Yes. So that grass will be of help if we can do it. Or we can use sandbags. Yes, sandbags. Yes, as an alternative to place it along the banks of the drains. That will also help. We are just looking at alternative that we can at least try to cut down a little bit of the flooding that we have. Now, another thing is, gone were the days when our parents were building. They used not to tile all the compound. But now,
it's a new trend.
Yes, but now it's like, anybody who is building think I have my money, the land is for me, so I can do whatever I want to do. In the AMA, our building code, we said if you are able to release or to leave 30% of your land for greening, the permit you are going to pay will be reduced for you.
Oh, really?
Yes, it will be reduced for you.
Are people aware of this?
Yes, we've been talking about it, we've been announcing it. You know, AMA used to be a large AMA, but now it has been reduced to 3 sub-metros. Though it has been reduced to 3 sub-metros, the waste hasn't reduced because the AMA is still the central business district. That is why we are still experiencing what we are experiencing. So if we are able to reduce, let me say, 30% of your land for greening, it will help in percolation of water when it rains. But if you tile the whole land and then it rains, the water will have nowhere to go through. It will be on the surface and then it needs a place to go. You can cheat God. God will not do anything. But if you cheat nature, nature had its own way of repaying you back. And these are some of the things nature is paying us back.
You know, this picture you paint, it reminds me of the last time I was in the Kaswa-Weja area. There was flooding. And I entered one house and it reflected exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
So practically no trees or a little, you know, just for beautification.
Yeah.
At the edges, these are just flowers and stuff, but no real space. And then when it rains, you would see that it would stagnate and be on the compound. But that brings me to tree planting, because that also has its own way of dealing with some of these issues.
Yeah.
What has been the drive? We've had Green Ghana Day for 2 years back to back. How has the AMA fed into that? Because that would also be a way of containing this.
So the tree planting, we started 2 years ago. We've been planting the tree. You know, everything, the environmental officers, we have a lot to do when it comes to anything concerning the development of the country. When you are planting trees, you must first of all think of stray animals. How do we handle stray animals? Because when you plant seedlings, stray animals around are going to eat the seedlings up if it is not well protected from them. Meanwhile, the officers that are supposed to even take care of these stray animals are not well resourced. You plant the tree, we need to ensure that...
That is you.
Yes, we need to ensure that all stray animals are being taken care of, arrested. If the owners come, they are being charged or taken to court and all that, to prevent anybody from leaving their animals stray. But all these things, some of these things are not taken care of. We go out there, we plant the tree. Fine, some will grow if those that are being protected. But at areas that there are a lot of stray animals going around, they will just go and then feed on this and what will I say? These seedlings that were planted. I would have loved to see a data on the trees that we planted last year. How many survived?
I would love to see that.
Yes. How many survived?
But Mr. President said 80% of them survived.
Yes,
like,
like each assembly should have come out with a data on the trees that were planted last year. How many survived this year?
So you have your concerns with that?
Yes. What were the things that we didn't do well that led to those seedlings not surviving? So what can we do this year to improve upon this, to ensure that the seedlings that we are planting this year, they will grow? Because we know planting trees will also help mitigate, climate change, because they will absorb the green gas emission. That is one. So it is really a very crucial issue you've just brought up. And I think we will have to sit down and really look at it and see if next year we will plant trees again, which I know we are going to do, because it has come to stay. There is no way to go, because they say the day the last tree dies, the last man dies. Because tree is very important in the life of man. You get your furniture from tree. If you are growing, if you are a toddler, they get you tray cycle. You have to hold and learn how to walk. It's from tree.
The paper,
yes.
The newspapers we have.
I'm not even talking about the papers, just talking about growth of human being. When you become old, you need a walking stick. It's from tree. When you die, you need a coffin. It's from tree. So at least it would have been good. Every human being, when you are growing up, you should grow trees that will help you get all these things. And
some have even suggested just to, push the idea of growing trees in our homes.
Yes.
Sometimes too, it depends on the kinds of homes. Sometimes it's a compound house.
You
don't even have but some have suggested that we can even grow fruit trees.
Sure.
Pear, mango, and the rest, so that you end up benefiting from the trees as well when it's harvest time. And it's a symbiotic relationship. But, well, we've left things to degenerate. But, so these are all solutions that we can offer, from using the grass or the sandbags, on the stretches where we know there's usually these big drains and all of that. It would almost be as though we were reinventing the wheel, because these are things others have done, things we should know, but we've not done them over the years. But in terms of the waste that has been generated on the back of the rains and the flooding we've seen. I mean, you are not in the central region, but you've seen what has happened there.
Sure.
The disaster, even Ankafo got flooded.
Amamoma is even west.
Where?
Amamoma, inside the UCC campus.
Yeah. And then an officer
are being trapped inside. They cannot even come out.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. So on the back of all this, the heaps of rubbish are also now, like you said, when you do this over time, at least it's just a percentage, maybe 12 to 15%. But then the rains come, it percolates, and then we see the waste gathering after everything is said and done. I know the Kanishi market area and other markets are typical hotspots.
Yeah.
Give us a bird's eye view of what that looks like right now.
Let's just talk about Agbogbloshie. Agbogbloshie is the food hub of Accra.
Right.
That is where a lot of traders goes to take the bulk. That is where bulk food is being broken for people to go in and buy for retailing. How is Agbogbloshie market? And sometimes the drainage system, the engineers that work on the drains also lead to some of these flooding. We have... You
mean the engineers too are partly to blame?
I'm just putting it in Dama, because when you go to Agbogbloshie market and you take a drain, one drain, you see that it is flowing anti-clockwise. Part is flowing this way, part is flowing this way.
I see what you mean. So you have two systems, one going to the other. Right.
And also people who connect water from the Ghana Water Company. These pipes are all over the drains. The siltiness is even an issue.
Yeah.
And if you don't take care, pipelines will be burst, and when they are burst, the water will be contaminated, because what is inside the drain is very, very bad. Raw excreta is passing through our drains. Yeah. We have turned our drains into a passage of raw excrement. We don't even treat it, just raw. People who are operating public toilets, some don't even have septic tanks to receive this excreta for it to go through some kind of treatment.
Some of them are just connected.
They just connect. When it starts raining, they open, and everything is just going through, which is very, very bad. At the beginning,
as the AMA, knowing all this, you can't possibly be sitting with your arms folded.
We cannot be at one place at the same time. Just recently,
you mean at every place at the same time?
We can't be at the same place at the same time. Recently, myself and one of your Mike, we went around Ashale. Yes, we went around at Old Fadama. We arrested persons who were even operating public pan latrines. Those people were taken to court. They were fined. They have come back.
Those had been banned.
And they have started again.
But they are banned, right?
Yes, they are banned. That's what we are just doing a merry-go-round thing. You take the person to court, the person is found, the person come back, and the person is doing the same thing again.
So do you have mechanisms do you have mechanisms so that if you're a first-time offender, yes, we do this.
Yes.
If you're a second-time, third-time offender, then maybe the penalties are.
Yes, when you have that. Yes, when you go to court at the first time, they will say the person is not known. It's a first-timer. When you go to the second time, they will say from here I'm going to the field, and I'm not telling where I'm going to, and you will hear from us. And one of the things too is we don't have enough sanitation courts. AMA like this, we don't even have one. If you have enough sanitation courts, it's just a matter of going to the field with the vehicle. You arrest the people, the prosecutor is at court. You are sending the people to court. At the end of the day, the number you send to court will be matched. But one court at a far place, you can't carry a lot of persons to the place. You can't even arrest somebody today and send the person to court.
Where is the court?
We have one of these courts. One of the sanitation court is at La.
La.
Yes.
Okay.
That is where we mostly send our cases. And I think one is also at Abeka. So we need...
So are there only two of them?
They are scattered in areas that is no closer to AMA. You send a person to court, a bench warrant is being released. It's the duty of the officer to finance the bench warrant.
What?
Yes.
It's the duty of the AMA officer?
The officer have to finance the bench warrant, because when you go to arrest, to make a bench warrant arrest, you don't have a vehicle. What do? You have to rent a vehicle, and you have to pay for it.
About how much do you spend?
Resources is also another thing that is hampering the smooth flow of enforcement. So if the resources are there, you have everything at post, you have your car, you are going for arrest. Because when you take in Ghana, it's only the police officer and the environmental officer who can do an instant arrest without a warrant.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, there's citizens arrest, but mostly you wouldn't be able to.
That is it. But we have the right to make an arrest without a warrant. If I'm coming and I see you doing something that has something to do with sanitation malpractice, I can arrest you and ask you to abate it instantly, or I can take you to court as an officer. It's just a matter of showing you my ID card. Yeah. But the logistics are some of the things. If you don't have a father who cries for you, you need a father to say, my child need this, need that. A father gives instructions and the children obeys. But if you do not have a father who will cry for you, dissemination of information from the top is not there. Environmental officers, we don't even have a national budget. Everything we get, we don't have a national budget.
So how do you run?
That is it. We run from the IGF of the MMDAs that we find ourselves. So when you write a memo and there's...
Wow, that would be a difficult process to get funds.
Yes, so when you write a memo and there's fund, you'll be given. If there's no fund, you will not be given, and you cannot force because the fund is not there.
So now I get the picture. Because you are basically tied to the apron strings, the financial apron strings of the MMDAs. You don't have anything clearly designated for you. No. As and when they feel, even when they have something, and if they have other interests to address, they will focus on that.
That is the thing. So, and it is because environmental officer is still a unit in the assembly. When we were with the Ministry of Health, we were a department. But because of decentralization, we were brought from the Ministry of Health in 1994 to the local government ministry so that we can have close contact with the communities. Now we came to local government ministry and we've been made a unit. And if you are a unit in the assembly, you don't have a national budget. When they are planning national budget, you are not part. You only depend...
You are not even at the table to say that, look, these are the challenges we face and we need more resources. Yes. You are not even at the table.
And most of the times, the money that comes from national is for waste management. Health promotion, law enforcement mostly is not part. You understand? So if you are going to do law enforcement and you apply for money, you write a memo and the money is not released, there's nothing you can do. We've been doing a lot. Look, when you take somebody to court, and the person is being remanded, and you either send the person to police station or to prison custody, you, the environmental officer, have to take money from your own pocket.
So that brings me back to the point. Yes. About how much, when you were talking about the warrants and all that, about how much in your experience
you can spend not less than, let me say, 500 cedis on a case.
500
Yes,
cedis.
if you want a case to go stream, you can spend not less, because all the printing you have to pay. There's no money for that. Your boss has written a memo, and the money is not there for your boss to give you. Some officers will use their own money to do it because of the love they have or the passion they have for the job. But all officers will not do that. How much is our salary? So we all, environmental officers, not only those in AMA, environmental officers throughout the country, we are tight, our mouth is being tight. We cannot talk because we are going through a lot of stress. So if we have somebody at the top there, when we write our report and we bring in our challenges, the challenges will be teased up and then analyzed and made together. And we find solution from the top there for it to trickle down. But there's nobody to do that. You write the report, everybody is prioritizing on their sector. If you don't have a head at the sector, nobody will prioritize your case. Maybe if we had a head or a directorate at the local government ministry by now, we would have been made a department. You can only get a national budget when you are a department. Right. If you are not a department, there's no way you can get a national budget. And during our annual action plan preparation, you are being given a target, a seal. the seal that you will be given is just something small because that is what the IGF can get for you. And you can't do anything more than that.
You know, and this brings to mind, so even before I get into that very quickly, have you personally had to do this before? You know,
yes.
To secure a warrant, spend about 500 cedis.
I am telling you, I have done more than that. Because it is not just one person, because securing the warrant, we are not in uniform. You will need somebody to help you do it. And the person cannot do the arrest for you, and you allow the person to go free.
Right.
You understand? At least you need to find water for the person to drink. The person is not asking for it, but under humanitarian grounds, you need to find something for the person. You are renting a vehicle. How much is the vehicle? To and fro. You have to pay for it to make the arrest.
So if you don't have that money, it means basically you can't prosecute the case.
You can prosecute the case, but it may not go around. A lot of us are having bench warrants on them that are not being. This year, our first quarter, AMA, we were able to secure about 365 summons from court to take people to court. But at the end, we're able to only prosecute just 115.
That's about a third of them.
Yes.
And you know what is going through my mind? You see how we've done with the roads and
yes.
spot on prosecution, even
yes.
MPs and ministers. Imagine if you were given the logistics
yes.
to do this. What it would mean is that you could generate a lot more money.
A lot of money.
Which could also be pumped back to you so that you can do your work.
Can do the
but
work.
It's not being done.
It is not being done. And even if you have a court in your jurisdiction, it's a plus to you because the bylaws that we use to do the prosecution, the bylaws are being made by the district assemblies. And 50% of fines may be given to the assembly for reimbursement of the court. And that one too can also help you to cushion the officers to do the work proactively.
Hi. Looks like this is a conundrum. A really tricky situation in which you find yourselves. And I'm just imagining, I'm just pondering how you've survived, you know, doing this up to this time.
It is our work. That is what we have opted to do. So you try as much as possible to do the best you can. You cannot do everything, but the little that you can, the little that we can is what we were able to do with the 115. We have more than 20 bench warrants getting to 30 bench warrants lying down. But we cannot effect the arrest effectively due to some of these things.
Wow.
And it is not just, the environmental work is very huge. When you go to the slaughter facilities, environmental officer is supposed to be there.
Remind me of the one we did.
Yes.
The Joy Clean Ghana campaign.
And it is still there.
That got me off meat for a while.
You see, we went around, we did slaughter facilities auditing. There were some slaughter facilities that were supposed to be closed down. But who would take the initiative? The environmental health officer at the local government ministry, if we had one, that person would have taken the initiative, write the letters to the MMD, to the regional officers. Then they will trickle it down to the MMDAs, telling them that this facility is supposed to be closed down, this facility is supposed to be closed down. But because we don't have a head there, if you take me who is at the MMDA and we go around to do this auditing and come back, I can just come and report, but I cannot take that national action because I'm just an officer working within the MMDA.
Florence, I want you to do something, even as we get ready to, you know, get into other views quickly and wrap the conversation. But I want you to do this. This is about the third time you're mentioning this.
Yes.
I want you to look in your camera and address the powers that be on this substantive matter. What do you have to say to them? The minister, local government, and others who are not maybe putting in place the measures that would make your work easier and more effective.
So I am just pleading with the Honorable Local Government Minister, Honorable Agbogbloshie. I am pleading with him. I know he's a very listening minister. His ears are always on the ground. Environmental officers are your people. They are your children. We are working to promote you. It's the work we do that elevates the assemblies. But we do not have a head at the local government ministry. So we are pleading, even if that directorate that was there and has been moved to the Ministry of Sanitation, if it cannot be recreated, give us a desk at the local government ministry so that somebody can be appointed within the environmental health unit to be on that desk to address issues concerning environmental health. at that ministry. That person can help you even with issues that you are not aware of, so that it can help you to reign proper. With that environmental health officers, the local government ministry will not work well because we are the backbone of the assemblies. What we do is what projects the assembly. But if we don't have a head, the minister cannot come from the ministry and then go straight to the MMDAs to ask them to do something, though he can do it. But that is not the mandate of what the local government ministry stands for. Local government ministry stands for bottom-up approach, top-down approach. The minister will have to instruct the environmental health director at the Ministry of Local Government, so that that director will also instruct the regional director. Then the regional director will instruct the MMDAs, the MEHOs and the DEHOs and the directors to do the job. Then the report will come through that way to the minister for easy monitoring and evaluation purposes. So we are pleading with you, Daddy. We know you are listening. Your people are listening to you. The head at the Ministry of Sanitation is they are not our bosses. They only help us because we were all at the local government ministry. But now we are in dire need of a directorate at the local government ministry to take on the environmental health aspect. The sanitation ministry is taking the sanitation aspect, waste management aspect, that is liquid and solid waste. But the health promotion, the law enforcement, the awareness creation, everything still lies at the Ministry of Local Government. And that is the more important. When you have a computer without a software, the computer is just a conco. Right. You need a software for the computer to work effectively. And the environmental health officers that are doing the law enforcement, health promotion are the soft aspect of the solid waste management. Thank you.
Thank you so much for, ventilating your thoughts that passionately. I definitely wouldn't be able to do it as well as you did. That's why I gave you the opportunity to address the powers that be. But moving forward, so this has happened and you have to grapple with, regardless of the lack of logistics, I'm sure even human resource, now that you've been this restricted, you have problems there. But how bad is the situation currently, and how have you been able to, manage? You've spoken about Agbogbloshie. How have you been able to manage the filth that has been brought up by the floodwaters? Yes,
so we did a collaboration with the waste management of a company that is in charge of the place. So drains are being desilted, waste is being collected, but we are going to be at Agbogbloshie for a long time, because we are going to ensure that no trader will sell things on the drain again. No trader will put a pallet on any drain to sell. No trader at Agbogbloshie market is going to sell in front of. There's a dwarf wall that has been built at Agbogbloshie market to ensure that everybody is inside the dwarf wall. But traders are coming out from the market and they are selling on the road. That is also leading to some of these things. They sell and they leave the debris of their waste, throw it into the drains. That is leading to all these issues that we are finding ourselves in. We want Agbogbloshie market. We want to turn the Agbogbloshie market into one of the world's best markets. And if it is able to be done, I'll be the happiest person. Because when I took over AMA, Agbogbloshie has been my heart. It has in my heart, and I want to change the face of Agbogbloshie market. If you can recollect, Joy Clean Ghana campaign, we've been to Agbogbloshie several occasions, and anytime we get to Agbogbloshie, the issues that we were there for, they are still there. And we will continue. And I know as much as possible that we continue to be there and be there. One day, a change will come. Maybe somebody will sit somewhere and say, let me help these people. A philanthropist will come and help us to change the face of Agbogbloshie market. And that will make me very happy. That will make you very happy.
I've been at Agbogbloshie for a report before, courtesy of my hardworking producer, Sam. We went to do something there. But, the big drain there, it's absolutely filthy. It is mind-bogglingly filthy.
Sure.
What is being done about that? I mean, that is a spot that generates a lot of mosquitoes. It generates a lot of filth. You see the cattle, while the cattle rearers were still there, they had to be moved. But while they were still there, some of them obviously would get it. I mean, and this is meat that would be consumed. And What is being done about that?
You know, that place is, let me say, a collection point of all runoff water from Accra. So all the waste that is being thrown into the drain or onto the drains, that is where the water will wash it to. Always the dredge masters are there dredging. But still, the place is...
It's because the filth is more than
yes, it's
the dredging
more the dredging that is being done. People don't want to pay their waste. We are doing producer pays or polluter pays as you go. When you produce your waste, you must pay for it to dispose of. And people don't want to take responsibility. It's just irresponsibility.
But how is that possible? That is where you come in, right?
Yes.
I mean, you should be able to enforce this. I mean, how can people say it's like the payment of taxes? If you fall foul of the law, you will be dealt with.
Yes. So here is, we have the accredited waste collection companies that have registered, people have registered. It's our duty to ensure that everybody registered with accredited waste collection company. But access route is another thing that we are facing, especially when you go to the urban rural areas. Accessibility into their homes is very difficult. So most of them turn up engaging these Agbogbloshie guys. When the Agbogbloshie guy come to collect your waste, where does the waste end? They don't know. So AMA has also taken it upon herself to bring all these Agbogbloshie people together, put them into cooperation. We have the Agbogbloshie Waste Collection Corporation too that are also registering them. So now before you give your waste to somebody, onto an Agbogbloshie operator, you must see that the person has AMA sticker on the Agbogbloshie before you give the waste to. If the person hasn't got any AMA sticker and you give the waste to the waste will end up somewhere and come back into the drain. That is what we are doing now. And we are really working very hard on it. We have registered over 6,000 Agbogbloshie people within AMA alone.
6,000?
Sure.
Wow.
Within AMA alone. And we have helped them, about 600 of them, we've helped them to get the license. Some of them don't also have license, and that is the issue, because they are afraid when they go to the roadside and they are driving, they may be arrested. They just find anywhere and then leave the waste there. But if the MMDA are able to help them secure the motorcycle licenses, it will also help them to do the right thing.
Wow, this leaves us in really tricky straits right now, and I cannot but, salute you for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Regardless of the circumstances that you are facing.
Yes.
And hopefully, I'm sure you will be able to deal with the situation through the rainy season.
We will. We will. Just like that's what I'm saying, the logistics issue. Environmental officer, when it's even raining, you need to be in the rain, because that is the time people are disposing waste in the rain. So you are supposed to be in the rain to make arrest. If you don't have a raincoat, how can you be in the rain?
You don't even have raincoats.
We don't even have raincoats. The police officers are supposed to be on the road during rain to direct traffic. They are giving raincoats up and down. The environmental officer, you do not have. You have to use your own money to buy your raincoat.
So practically, you're under-resourced. You are, in most ways, you lack the human resource. You are under-resourced. You have a wide area in which to operate.
We are under-prioritized.
You are under-prioritized.
Yes. We are not the priority. Until the environmental officer becomes the priority of the day, issues will continue to happen.
So all the talk about we're trying to work it out, control flooding and all of that, you are a crucial cog in that wheel.
In that wheel.
And you are being ignored. In other words, it's mere talk.
So the policymakers have to see to it that the officers you are training out officers every year from the 3 School of Hygiene in Accra. Every year you are churning out officers. How are you resourcing these officers? Environmental officers, we are supposed to be in uniform, khaki and white. If you see an environmental officer wearing khaki and white, the person bought it by him or herself.
You're kidding me.
I'm telling you. You bought it by yourself.
Are you serious right now?
I'm serious. You bought it by yourself because you would put in the memo for the uniform and it will never come. And it is when you are in uniform that people respect you. When you go to Nigeria and you see their uniform, that is how an environmental officer uniform is supposed to be. All other countries have prioritized their environmental officers. It's only Ghana That environmental
Is
officers...
this, so we're talking about the AMA. Is this replicated across the country?
I'm not what I'm saying is not for AMA. What I'm talking is about the country.
Oh, wow.
I'm talking about the country. Even office space is even an issue for some environmental officers when you go to some MMDAs. Work and happiness. You go to the office and you are not happy. How do you work? How do you work? You go to the office, it's one office for about 30 environmental officers with their boss in the same office. And we are counselors. We go to this town to go and counsel the people. That is why they call us town council. We are town councillors. We counsel our community. When you take an action against somebody, you give the person a notice. The person will have to obey the nuisance you've seen and given the notice and come for more counseling. And when the person comes for, privacy is not even there for the boss to even counsel the person in the midst of the people.
ASMO.
ASMO, brah.
Well,
it is well.
It is well.
We know, and I believe from today things will change because I know they have listened to us.
Oh, they watch us every day. That's why I gave you the opportunity to speak directly to.
Because environmental officers, we've been crying and crying. They will come out with a policy and they will put Environmental Health and Sanitation Directory, local government. Meanwhile, there's nobody there. So what you've placed there, who is going to work on it? You understand? And to go, there are a lot of actions that are supposed to be taken at the local government ministry by the Director of Environmental Health. But everything will get there and to be stuck. Nobody will act on it. You are given a letter to go for a meeting, an intersectoral meeting, that you are supposed to be there to put in your voice for it to reflect. You get there, it gets to the ministry, there's nobody to act on it, and to lie there, it will rot. If you are lucky for somebody to know you, that you are an active, when you attend workshop, you do this, then they will call you, the consultant may call you, please come. We have called local government ministry, nobody has come from local government ministry. So you come and represent. Mostly, I am always the person representing local government ministry to do things on behalf of the environmental officers, which is not supposed to be. I'm just an assembly head. I'm not even a regional head. I'm just an assembly head.
Florence, one of him. You know, one of the reasons I like you, especially, that's why I'm excited meeting you this morning. You're so passionate about what you do.
Yes.
And we can tell when you're on the Clean Ghana campaign, the Joy Clean Ghana campaign platform. And here, the passion with which you've said what you have, I'm just praying that the powers that be, those in authority, will listen to what you're saying and realize that you're not trying to dig the system.
Yeah.
You're just trying to help.
Yes.
Because if the right things are not done, we'll be back here again come the next, raining season talking about these same matters. But we are not, giving the AMA the logistics they need. You heard her, even uniforms, they don't have. Florence, thank you so much for joining the conversation.
Thank you so
and we
much.
wish you the very best.
Sure.
More power to you.
Joy Clean Ghana campaign, we've done an analysis on it and we'll be bringing it out. We have received a lot of very good information throughout the whole country. We didn't just do it in Ghana alone. We threw it
in Accra alone.
Not Accra alone, in Accra alone. We did it throughout the whole country and we have received a lot of feedback. And I know we are going to work on it and it will improve the work that we are doing.
When it comes to these issues, we're always number one, right? This is what we do.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we are going to help to break the chain of any disease outbreak that may be likely to surface through these floodings that we are experiencing this year.
We're so grateful you came. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. I'm
right.
so grateful.
Just stay with me. Florence Kuchi is Director Metro Public Health with the AMA.